Alrighty. Welcome everyone to the first episode of my demo review show. I still have no idea what I want to call it, so bear with me. Maybe that's something that we can do first and foremost. If you guys want to type in the comments below, let me know what you think the name is going to be. I'm thinking like breaking it down with Sprawl, or I don't know. I really have no idea. Demo in review, I feel like that's too basic. Anyhow, today we're going to be looking at Tempo Storm versus Optic Gaming, so I do want to let people know, if you are watching live on Twitch, I will not be taking questions until the very end, just to keep things. This is going to be on YouTube, again, if you're watching this right now. Could be on YouTube at the moment, so anyhow, let's get right into it. I'm going to take the music down here, the magic, and we're going to jump right into the game. So, again, if you guys are unaware, this was the third map in a best-of-3 for the finals of the MLG America's Minor. It was Tempo Storm versus Optic Gaming, as you guys can see. So, I wanted to break down Nuke, because we haven't seen a lot of competitive play. I actually watched Liquid play on it for E-League just the other day. That was actually excellent. We saw a lot more strategic play on it. A lot of things, for example, like shooting out the windows above the upper bomb site and such. So, my watch is going to make some noise. I'm going to put that off to the side. So there's a lot of that going on. We don't actually see a lot of that in this map, but we do see some cool things, and enough that I feel like there is some cool stuff to highlight. So I've taken some notes. This is going to be very different than me casting something. We're literally just going to review what the hell happened here. So, well, let's get down to it. Again, if you guys have any questions, please keep them to the very end, and I will be going through Twitch chat and just seeing if there's anything I can answer. So, first and foremost, I do want to let you guys know I've never been a professional player myself. I've been casting the game for quite a while. So this is a learning experience for me as much as it is for you. I just want to get more into analysis, more or less, as I punch my microphone. So hope you guys enjoy. If there's any feedback that you guys have, please let me know, because I am all ears. So again, this is going to be a very casual show. I'm just going to show you guys what I think is cool. And of course, Counter-Strike is made up of very small mistakes that create big opportunities. So we're going to move right into the pistol round here. And right from the get-go, what we're going to see, Optic goes for something that we've seen, honestly, in old Nuke a lot. They're just going to go for a fairly standard just ramp rush. This is actually a pug strat, more or less. It's like, what do we do? You guys want to rush upper? Nah, let's rush ramp. So you go for that instead. So this is going to be the way it goes down. Again, they actually wrap into heaven. So what I'll show you guys, again, a lot of this is going to be in third person. I realize you might want to see like the first person, how they're aiming and such. But this is more about positioning than anything. So we're going to stop things right here. So they find the entry frag, obviously very important. They do lose a player in the process, but the idea is that they're wrapping around to heaven, and then they have rush stay inside of lobby. So one thing I wish I could do more is I can switch to players while I'm in pause, but I can't actually swim around very much. So the idea, again, Rush has been staying in lobby. He's going to try and burst out as soon as these players fly up into heaven. So that's the idea. Lucas, he's got this flash that he's about to throw down. I actually think that Optic Gaming got really fortunate here, and I'll show you why in a second. Lucas, again, playing from up in heaven. You would expect, at least I would expect, that he would be able to hold here quite sound. Rush actually laters him as he came out from the hut area. So if Lucas is playing any way in which he is not vulnerable to down here, I feel like he just gets all those kills, because it's so difficult. Optic, they've got Glocks coming up a ladder. Yeah, you can go with burst, but it's just probably not going to work out. So that's essentially how the round starts to play out. It does turn into a 3-on-3 here. And again, if you guys haven't watched this, Optic, they do go on to actually win this map and match. So spoiler alert, this is their map to take. Anyhow, moving into the rest of the pistol round, you can see more or less the setup here. They keep Mixwell up in heaven. In the post plant, it's actually really difficult to hold A on the post plant here. It comes down to a 2-on-2, and then NAF, I think, lines them up in just a moment. And indeed, that's going to be the case. So, Optic, they take T-Pistol. Obviously, that's freaking massive. So, well, I say it's massive. I'm coming from the day and age where Nuke, again, is a very, very CT-sided map. From what I've seen thus far, it looks like this is still a very CT-sided map. Yeah, there's more avenues to work outside, But I feel like once the CTs get a good hold on outside, I'll show you again how Tempo plays outside on their CT side and how Optic plays CT side on their in outside. And there's a bit of a stark difference there, and Optic actually abuse it on their T side, the outside area, much more than I feel like Tempo Storm does. And honestly, that's kind of the tail of the tape, at least in my eyes. But we'll continue on as I blabber away. This show is supposed to be a short show, but I'm realizing it's probably going to be a long show. So for this first one, it's probably just going to be... Again, I'm just going to keep on babbling on, and we're just going to go through the entire map here. Eventually, I might split it up and actually just focus on certain key rounds and such, but this is going to be a force buy, as you can see, and this is one thing that, again, I wanted to highlight. Optic, they abuse outside really well in this round. You'll see, Daps is already focusing on Secret, so if you don't smoke off Secret, that's this area here, you're very vulnerable as a T. Daps actually decides to essentially just take it with some blunt force, if you will. Bolts, you can see he is playing outside. He's playing very passive, though. So he does end up finding one here, but he's traded off immediately. In the midst of this, you can see Daps finds an engagement down below. So they're just swarming. This isn't the cleanest round in my eyes from Optic, but they're able to spread out in a way that, well, Daps is on one hit point. Of course, if he dies, maybe it's a bit of a different situation. He actually finds a third there. I didn't recognize that while I was taking my notes. But anyhow, successful round in that you got 3 on the Mac 10. I feel like Tempo, though, considering the force buy, they probably could have taken maybe some more advantages. Again, just considering their positioning and what Optic did, they were pretty spread out at points. So a couple duos go their way, and maybe it's a different round. But moving into this next round, we will see a full USP save, and I actually wanted to highlight how the save goes down. Tempo do a really cool stack here in just a second. So they've got one player out in Big Garage, that's Phelps, and look at this vertical stack. If you are NAF specifically, let's see how he actually takes this. So he peeks out, and holy bodies, there's literally just CTs everywhere. So that works out really well for Tempo. The downside is that they allowed players up into hell. Bolts actually plays this nicely. He plays passively. Again, this is kind of an angle you wouldn't expect from old Nuke and such. This is the key moment right here. So that kill, in my eyes, is what allowed Optic to get back into this round. Mixwell actually got that as he was dropping, or pretty much right before he dropped. So good work from him, but again, if he allows Bolts to stay alive up there, Bolts jumped and then died. If he lives, could have been a different scenario. We still have Henny alive, but it is a 3-on-3, so we'll see him. He takes down another player, and he tries to flee on the reload. It's very close, and then Lucas, he gets latered, quite honestly, but Showtime shows up. And it turns into a one-on-one. Mixwell just barely wins it. So this is obviously a very expensive round for Optic, but they'll take it, obviously. For the T side, it's worse if you're the CT side and you're on a round where you're guaranteed to win and you lose a lot of players than I feel like on the T side, because the T side rounds are just generally so hard to come by anyhow. So it's not a big deal, but you would want that to be cleaner considering Optic was only facing USPs. So moving forward, we will see the first rifle round. So this is interesting. We'll see on the first rifle round here. Optic decide to go for, again, this is a very standard Nuke strat. It's basically just a bum rush into the A-bomb site. They actually have 2 flashes. Optic say that they didn't practice this at all, but I don't know. Again, these are straightforward flashes, to be honest with you. But I'll show you, and you guys can be the judges here, whether or not they actually practice these flashes at all. So here we go. We're just going to jump right into it. They go for a gambit, though, that you'll see on, like, Dust 2. You win pistol in the 2 thereafter, and you decide to just rush B. That's kind of what I feel like this is. They just try and catch the CTs off guard. They know they're probably a little low in utility, and I'm going to actually slow it down here. Oh, boy, did I get it in time. So they flash out of Mini, and they flash out here. So those are not necessarily... You can see there's bounces that they have to bank those properly. So again, they're simple. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you guys. I don't know if you figure that they've actually practiced that at all. But it's a pretty standard A-take. They get the bomb down, and this is where the round actually turns on its head. You would expect Tempo Storm is actually in a great spot here. And to be fair, they are. Mixwell, though, goes for something that this is very similar to pushing a player, like you've got the A bomb site on Mirage, you decide post-plant you're going to run a player through T-spawn, back to middle, back to cat to watch through connector. This is a very, very kind of similar strategy. So Mixwell takes it upon himself. He wants to flank here. And he honestly finds an excellent timing. And on the 3-on-4, I don't mind this kind of risk because you are down a player. So we're going to see here in a moment, he could be what wins them the round, but unfortunately, we're going to see here. So he starts spraying on one. He didn't recognize that there was another player, and he actually over-peaks in that situation. So now finds himself in a 2v1, and Phelps actually hits a nutty shot. Got it from Naf's point of view there, but it was a nice shot. So Tempo, they pick up the round. It's obviously critical. It's a CT-sided map. Very important that they pick that up. The downside is that they only survive with 2. So I think I pretty much covered everything. Yeah, honestly, that could be another round, though. You look at Mixwell's play. If he's a little bit more patient, granted, they're shooting at his teammates in the bomb site, so that's why he's trying to pounce right away. But if he's able to actually work that a little bit slower, who knows how big of an opportunity it turns into. But credit where credit is due. That's an awesome flank and a cool way to play that A bomb site. It's so hard to actually hold off a retake when you have just players only in the bomb site, and the CTs have lobby. Well, actually in that situation you flank through lobby, but still they're everywhere is what I'm getting at. So moving forward, that is the first rifle round here. So Tempo Storm, they do pick it up, but note they keep very little alive. So that means their economy, it's busted up. T-side economy, not so much. They will be able to keep the pressure on. So that is very important as well. So moving into this one thing we'll note right from the get-go is something that, again, very common if you have the spawn for it. Mixwell has the spawn for Hut, so he'll actually decide to push into their right from the get-go here. We'll watch, he throws a smoke off to his left, and that allows him to push in. He almost gets Phelps here. Look at that. Two critical timings where hopefully that pays off, but unfortunately it doesn't. This round turns into a bit of you can see their outside take here. Critical detail, they smoke off secret. That is a very worrisome part of playing towards T-Red, and we'll actually see later in the half where they don't do that, and it kind of, it bites them. So, decent smokes. Henny eventually does show up there, and when the smoke dissipates, I do believe he actually kind of cuts things off a little bit, but I'm actually struggling to remember. Let's see. Naf, one thing that's cool, you can note, Naf is actually spamming through this. That is very spammable, so make sure you guys try that. But, so they go for an inside play, but their outside players are more or less cut off here. You can see Rush tries to flash his way in. Naf has to take a fight with Henny, and eventually Dabs wins it, but this is all in the midst of them trying to take into A as well. So yeah, Stan is able to eventually find his way into the bomb site, but there's no way he's actually secure here. So that was more or less Tempo able to break the pacing of Optic. They tried to take into A. You saw how those players decided to go into mini, but the smoke had dissipated from secret, and Henny was able to cut it off. So even in the round where I'm highlighting, quite honestly, that is a big play, and then Henny actually finds the final player here. So I apologize if I miss some frags. Again, I'm trying to get a good feel for how I want to demonstrate the positioning and such, and again, I find that this third-person angle is actually a lot better, especially for Nuke. So, moving into the next round, we are going to see a force buy here, and one thing to note is, again, at a bomb plant, at the very least in that fourth round, that's the trend you're going to notice here. Optic, they're going to keep the pressure on, and they consistently get bomb plants. So, moving into round 6, they basically try and work ramp room. We'll see in a moment here that they actually get separated by a Molotov, but they still make it into lower, and they find a 2v4. So we'll see how that pans out in just a moment here. You can see a deep smoke, and that'll allow the kind of isolation into ramp room, but still, the play here from Showtime is pretty solid. He waits out a little bit of time here, and then eventually dumps an incendiary in, and that basically separates Stan in a way that he's like flashed and just burns to the fire. Not the best play by him, but it is what it is, as they will flash their way in, and eventually they take down Showtime. We'll see Mixwell kind of gets a little over-aggressive. He falls to Lucas as well as Naf. But still, not a bad situation. They get entry into this lower bomb site, and we'll see in a moment here, they actually take what should be just a standard just kind of victory for Tempo, and actually make it a little bit more expensive, and actually get a bomb plant for themselves. So we're going to see in a moment here how They just creep up shoulder to shoulder. Eventually, Daps, he finds Phelps. And what we'll see is Daps very low. He decides to go into Toxic, and Rush plants for him. So, Rush, I don't like that he actually peeks out here. To be fair, he's very trapped, and they know that he just planted the bomb. So there's really not a lot. I don't know why I'm critiquing him in that respect. He's fine. Daps is alone, as you can see. He peeks out pretty early, but he finds Lucas still. And again, the fact that they've found the bomb plant and created this 1v2 from a 2-on-4. Again, this is the T side of Nuke, so that's not bad by any means. So again, great round for Optic, considering. They get the bomb plant. They're able to take tempo down to 2 players yet again, and you can see this really does stunt the growth of the economy on that CT side. So we'll see them buy into the round, of course, but again, they're drained down to very, very little. And Optic, on the other hand, they can actually feel free to light buy here, as they do. And they still have enough to buy into the next round. So they keep the pressure on yet again. And again, this is kind of the trend of the half. Another light buy. All these bomb plants mean you can get these really cool light buys in, which might get you another bomb plant and, again, afford you some more rifle rounds. So moving into round 7 here. We will see... Honestly, I don't think that they do anything too crazy. I'm trying to remember exactly what happens in this round. I have written down that Daps has a bit of an awkward smoke push into ramp, but I remember that his smoke. So what we're gonna see here is eventually a smoke push into ramp from Daps. He goes down, but in the process, his teammates are able to flood out. Watch, he just dives through, just latered immediately. But in the midst of this, Lucas is the only one that's holding the upper bomb site, and you can see as soon as he goes down. Yeah, Henny shows up and hits some nutty shots, but Naf is already planting in the smoke. And again, the fact that they get the bomb down in a scenario like that, it's huge. It's absolutely massive. You can't underrate that. They got 2 frags as well. So again, the light buy, you gotta say that's a successful round. Again, I still think that's hilarious how Daps pushed though, but if he's trying to pull attention, he indeed kept players from being up in heaven and kind of looked towards ramp. So again, that's kind of mission accomplished, as silly as it looked. So we do have a technical pause that comes in here, and it's actually Lucas that has issues. Again, I just noted he was the only player in this bomb site, and they're saying he got like 30 to 50 FPS. So it's unfortunate that the thing is he only had 12 bullets when they were running in, and I don't think extra FPS was actually going to help him out there. Maybe he finds the frags quicker, and it turns into a different scenario. But still, they won the round and only really lost 2, but they did give up the bomb plant. So that tech pause comes in. We'll just scoot on through it. I think this comes back alive at, what round? Round 8. I think I have it written down that this goes to, like, this is actually a long tech pause. So, I have it written down that it's 17:20. So it's literally like a whole 5 minutes inside of this. Yeah, I guess they restart his computer and everything. So I didn't recognize that this is that long of a pause, but anyhow, moving forward here. Oh my god, can I just like literally... I assumed that I'd have something to talk about during this this part of the lull as the tech pause went on, and unfortunately, being that it's still very derpy to try and like scrub your way through this, I'm just not even going to attempt it, because I'll probably just end up back where I was previously. But one thing that I can know, let's just go ahead and look here. So 4 rounds in a row that the CTs have won, but every single one has been expensive, and bomb plants in 3. So again, that's massive for Optic here. So again, we're almost there, almost there. And again, the CT side economy, you can see even flying in 4 times, you go way faster. It feels like you're teleporting around. All right, I'll stop. I'm giving everybody motion sickness here. Okay, 1 more minute, but in 4 times, so of course that's nowhere near as long. And it looks like, there we go, we got Lucas back in, everybody's ready to rock, and beautiful, we're back into the match. So again, Lucas had some sort of tech issues, they restarted his computer. Everything's fine and dandy, but take a look at the money for the CT side. Not fine and dandy. They got 4,600 on the most, 2,500 on 2. They do have a double op setup here, and moving into this round... Let's take a peek here. So this is the interesting scenario here. Phelps is usually the player that goes mini immediately. He'll drop an incendiary at Squeaky Door to prevent a rush, and then he'll just hang out inside of essentially, oh, I wish I could draw right there. Oh, that's a cool crosshair. I don't know how I got that, but anyhow, he basically just hangs out here, makes sure that if they are going to come outside, he's able to pressure a little bit. This round, he actually decides to deke down to Secret immediately, instead of playing Mini early in the round. There is rounds where he does this on other occasions, but it's usually he stays in Mini up until a certain point, and then my understanding is he goes down to Secret. So we're going to see in a moment here how it affects the round, as, again, Phelps, he does exactly what he usually does, drop that incendiary. This time, though, falls into the vents, and this is where we're going to see they basically just get in for free here. I kind of missed it, to be honest with you. Let's do that one more time. I'm going to show you guys how that timing plays out, because honestly, it's perfect timing for the T side. So, oh no, I just made it go all the way back here. Please let me just go forward. Do a decent timing. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I totally forgot that was the round where we had the tech pause. Of course I do that on this round. Let's see how well this scrubs forward. As you can see, it's doing absolutely nothing right now. Oh, never mind. Oh, it's actually when it's paused, it actually scrubs easily. Wow. All right, today I learned. So you guys can see again, I'm a giant noob. So, okay, let's slow this down here. So the timing here from Phelps, again, he decides to drop into vents after he pressures into that HUD area. And look at this timing. So Optic Gaming, you can see Bolts and Henny, they're like, okay, we got you covered, buddy. Okay, we didn't see anybody. I think they're in A. Yeah, they're definitely in A. So, and now at this point, they take it to the bomb site. Lucas is dead. Phelps eventually shows up from Mini. But look at how many players. You got 3 CTs up in heaven, and this single Molotov is just going to, it's a bad time, as we can see. So Phelps actually is the critical player to watch here. They actually do end up winning this round. In my eyes, though, it's really because of Phelps. 4v3. He's already found a frag, and he plays this smoke so patiently. And we'll see here in a moment that, again, just biding his time. Eventually, you'll see an engagement. Showtime goes down. Phelps frags one. Rush tries to trade off of it. But Phelps finds him as well, and you can see he even gets an assist on Daps. So, tempo. They do win the round, but you can see how one little timing can just allow for the T side anyhow to really to swoop in and get that done. So, another round, though, where, again, we see a bomb plant, only 2 players left up for tempo. So their economy is busted up. Yeah, they still have a bye coming into this round, but they never really find security within it. And honestly, playing on the CT side, if you know you don't have a bank, you're worried. You're very worried. So that definitely, you play a lot more loose when you know that you kind of have a round to fall back on. Of course, you don't want to utilize it, but I'm just going to hold this thought here. Round 9. Let me double check exactly. Oh yeah, this is a round where I'm actually missing it right now. Mixwell decides to, let me just go back for a second here. Yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of this. I do apologize, as I am blabbing on about something else, and then I look at my notes and there's something that I wanted to cover in this round. So this is another situation where we see Mixwell go for that same hut push. So again, if you have a decent spawn for it, honestly, even if you don't, you can kind of catch them off guard here. That looks wow, that looks really messed up. Anyhow, he goes for that peek. He actually just barely misses Phelps there, going through his crosshair. And then eventually he reroutes with his team outside. So, what's weird, though, to me is that he reroutes outside to hold, but his teammates are already in secret. So, they take that advantage. Stan decides to just stay in lobby. And this actually turns into an interesting situation where Optic, they just spread out, more or less. What we're going to see, though, is that Tempo play this really smart. You can see Phelps already. He's like, okay, they could be coming to this bomb site. I'm just going to back in here slowly. And he's going to be, we'll get back to him in just a moment. So, again, Stan is in lobby. We've got Naf, Rush, and Dab slowly working down into the lower area. Mixwell is still outside at this point. So, yet he's trying to find a pick, but I don't really know how much he does in this situation. I'm trying to... I think he ends up not able to get anything done. So, anyhow, we'll hold that thought. Phelps, again, the one to watch out for here. Naf finds Showtime, but again, Phelps shows himself from Toxic, takes down the bomb carrier. So, super impactful. Phelps is a legend. And it is going to be a 3-on-3, and then Bolts is able to chime in. He takes down one towards ramp here. And you can see now it's only Mixwell. And this is where, okay, yeah, so this is where the situation comes in. He actually creates a winnable spot, but he doesn't have enough time. That's basically what happens. So he eventually wrapped all the way around towards ramp from outside. And again, he does find the first frag. He's got 10 seconds here, so he Molotovs towards vents. Again, I don't think he recognizes how little time he has because there's no way he frags out. He kills bolts, but again, to find this last one, it doesn't have enough time to get the bomb plant in. One thing to note, though, again, there's no bomb plant here, but it's another situation where everybody dies on tempo. So, yeah, they win the round, but again, not a single player survives. So, for Mixwell, he's upset. You can see he's shooting on the floor and stuff. Yeah, anyhow. I do want to let you guys know, if you're just tuning in, I'm not reading chat right now, and the only reason I'm doing that is this is going to be on YouTube, and I don't want people to be super confused. So if you have any questions, please save them to the very end, and then I'll glance over at chat and answer any questions that people bring up and such. So I'm not ignoring you guys. I love every single one of you. Moving forward, 6-3. Again, you can see, look at the buy here from Tempo Storm, buying absolutely to $0. Showtime even goes with a mag. And it's just, it's huge because, again, you're going to see why it's huge. Eventually, Optic, they're going to break Tempo Storm, and that's where they get back into the half. We're almost there. Round 10, this is another situation where this is another very expensive round. I don't know exactly if there's anything too exciting that goes on, though. Yeah, there's no smoke from Optic outside. That's one thing to note. Well, they do use smokes, but they don't smoke secret. And you'll see Phelps is going to take advantage of that. Naf is actually up on Twinkie with only a deagle here. So they do nade toward where Phelps is at. But considering how much feedback, this is actually a pretty decent Molotov that fends them back. And he's able to peek again. And he takes down Naf up on Twinkie. So nice play from Phelps. And Henny follows it up as well. So you can see the outside control here for the CT side. When you have good outside control, honestly, the T's are, in my eyes, just as kind of, looking for the correct word. They have a bad time is what I'm getting at. It still feels like a CT-sided map. So we're going to see a 3-on-2. Stan walks out into the bomb site, and he found Lucas. So I found a swift headshot. I think he was playing up on the wrap. I actually forget where he's playing from. Oh, he's playing up on top of the hut. So nonetheless, Showtime eventually shows up. He's able to deny the bomb plant. It turns into a 2-on-2. And again, this is another scenario where it just turns into a very expensive round for the CT side. They do end up winning it. See Showtime able to take down Rush, and then this 1v1 comes into play. And honestly, this could be where the half breaks apart for Tempo, but luckily they win this 1v1. So it doesn't happen just yet, but that's going to be the 10th round. So again, Showtime very impactful with that Mag 7. And he gets a lot of money for it. So good times in that respect, as we're actually going to see. So this is another round where we get an adjustment from Phelps. He decides that, again, Mini has been... He's played it a number of different ways. So this is going to be another round where he plays it a little differently. What he does is he's recognized, at least in my eyes, that Optic like to go quick into Mini. So instead of playing outside, he actually decides to go to Mini and smoke off Mini. So this is fine as long as you have someone else that actually watches outside. So you can see very quickly Optic is storming out. Phelps hears this. He loses bolts. I don't know if you guys got that. That bolts peaks from CT Heaven and just gets annihilated. So now you're in a situation where Optic, they have all this outside control. And this is where it's so difficult for the CT side. Daps eventually peeks in from CT Heaven. You can see he goes down. Not a big fan of that peak because there's no real there's no trade, there's no refrag. But still, on the 3-on-2, they play very smart here. Rush decides to walk through ramp and back towards lobby. So they split up a little bit. Naf is still with Mixwell. And what we'll see is, again, this is a player advantage for the CT side. They only really need to just hang out. Showtime's inside a lobby, but he gets caught here. Sick shot from Rush as he makes it into lobby. And then basically this falls apart because they don't recognize that it still could be a lot of pressure from Heaven. Lucas finds one, but expects maybe some lobby presence, and that's where Mixwell takes him down. So Henny, he's all alone here, and I think he ends up saving in this round. So I'll just skip forward a little bit. He decides to clear some angles and stuff, and he does not find anybody. So he decides to save. But this is the breaking point. This is the breaking point for Tempo Storm. They've won all these rounds in a row. But they got nothing other than those rounds to show for it. They have no money. So moving into this next round, you can see, again, they got nothing to work with. They have an AWP and basically upgrade, or let's see how much they even upgrade. I don't think they upgrade too much. We got bolts with a P250. But that is pretty much it. So I just want to take a moment here and again show you guys. Look at that. You've got 7 in a row. Look at how many bomb plants we have in here. Again, as a T side on most maps, it's critical, obviously, to get these bomb plants in, but especially on the T side of Nuke, Optic was able to gain such an economy early that even when they were force buying into these rounds, as long as they got bomb plants, it meant they could continue to light buy instead of full eco. And what we'll see in the next half is essentially why Optic won, because Tempo is not able to do that on their T side at all. Optic actually is able to survive with multiple players. So jump back into the game here. So round 12. So this is actually really smart from Optic. They know that there's basically just that op on the field, and this should be an eco. They can recognize that they've done so much damage and such. Even if it's not an eco, they probably don't have a lot of counter nades. So let's just rush upper. Let's just rush A. So they're going to go for, let's do this in halftime here. They're going to go for the same upper rush that they did previously, and I'll highlight their flashes here. So the first one gets banked out in a way that actually just slowly comes out. Oh, they actually didn't use this one this time around. On the first gun round, they had another one. But that's basically just a single flash and allows them to breach up into this bomb site. And from this point onward, obviously, it's basically just cut your losses. Trying to find some exit frags, but that's basically it. I'll actually skip forward a little bit. It's pretty smart that the way that they save, though, in that Henny finds that shot. That was perfect timing for me to switch to him. And eventually, we'll see, I believe it's one of these guys. We'll see here. They're able to actually run up, grab the AK, and look at that. Out like a bandit. Showtime. Takes so much damage doing that. He's down to 5 HP. But he still finds an AK. So that's quite huge. I think that's a nice play to highlight. But moving into the 13th round, yeah, they've got that AK, they've got that op. They're like, alright, well, let's just buy around it. And they get a decent buy-in, but they've got 2 FAMAS on the field. So see what happens. Of course, we saw Optic win a round with 4 players left up, so they immediately have a bank behind this. So moving into this round, I think that they decide to go secret quickly again. Yeah, that's going to be the case. So I think that it's Daps goes down first here. Mixwell actually, sorry, dies first, but that running shot from Daps is just hilarious, and you actually see the LOL from Mixwell. I don't know if that's because he saw Daps just hit that shot, but I just thought that was funny to note. But they will work it into the lower bomb site, I believe. I'm trying to recollect what else actually goes down in this round. Yeah, so they open up B, basically, with that frag towards secret, and then they get into the lower bomb site. So the only other thing I really wanted to highlight in this round is the fact that Stan, I like the way he plays it. He recognizes that his players have really good control of this lower bomb site. So he actually plays this back box inside a ramp room. And that means that the rest of Optic can focus heavily towards pretty much every other piece of real estate inside of the B bomb site. They don't have to be worried about ramp at all. So you can see their positioning because of it. Naf actually gets blindsided by bolts. But they know there's a player in control room. Henny almost hits the flick shot there, honestly, but unfortunately doesn't actually find it. And now, again, you've got so much control on the Optic end. Bolts finds himself alone. And in the 1v3, he basically cuts his losses. And he will get out of there. But it'll be another round, again, for Optic. And this looks so promising for Tempo up until, of course, the point where this happened. If you were a casual viewer and didn't understand the economy behind the game, you'd actually think Tempo Storm is almost dominating this map. But the comeback ability is a phrase or word I like to use often in my casting, in that if you are at least doing damage in those rounds that you're losing, you at least create an opportunity where eventually, when you do win a round, you can force an eco. And Optic, again, they went from 3 rounds on the T side and 7 losses in a row to all of a sudden 3 and an excellent scoreline here in this half. So even if they ended with 6, honestly, this is fantastic. But you can see a broken buy here. They will decide to buy into it. Big risk in my eyes, but on the CT side, I feel like it's worth it because, one, it's a little easier with lesser equipment on a map like Nuke to make things work, but 2, you can't afford to allow Optic to get any more rounds here. So, again, very critical round for them to pick up, and you can actually see here, this is sick. Rush loves to, at least from my observation, he throws smokes but leaves gaps in them. And you can see there, Phelps, he peeks up and thinks he's going to pull a fast one on them, but it's not actually the case. So they actually get a little careless in Optic. Henny finds one from here, and then they try and hunt him. Mixwell gets a little bit just caught out. You can see he was caught with he wanted to Molotov in, but he couldn't. Daps eventually tries to chase, and Lucas is able to cover. So it turns into a good situation for Tempo, but I feel like that's a little bit of a mistake from Optic. I understand that it's very, it seems like an easy frag if he's only got an MP7, but it does turn into a close situation here. But it's a situation that Lucas cannot make it back from. So eventually they will plant in the lower bomb site. And Lucas on the 2-on-1 just, he actually plays it well in that he recognizes that, I'm actually going to do this with X-ray off. So he opens the door. He eventually goes back up towards vents. The downside is a lot of time goes by here. But he spots out, I'm sure he spotted out the player there. This flash gives it away too. Obviously he sees that go off. So he's hunting for the other 1v1. He doesn't have a kit. And he gets blindsided by Stan. So again, Optic able to take another round on the T side. So it's massive, obviously. And if you can get 7-7 an even scoreline on Nuke here, obviously that's going to be a fantastic situation. So this last buy, Tempo, they got everything under the kitchen sink more or less. And I honestly don't know how Tempo wins this round. Let's find out. I believe it's Lucas that gets a couple frags with his Mag 7, so we're gonna keep our eyes on him. Optic. I gotta turn X-ray back on here. So he plays towards Hut. I'm honestly struggling to remember what happened here. I think Dabs... Okay, yeah, Dabs decides to just YOLO on in. He goes down. Rush can't really trade. Mixwell's on top of Mini. Rush engages, and he does take down Henny, but then that's where Lucas comes into the equation. They weren't actually pressuring out as Rush went out, and then Lucas is able to capitalize. So it eventually turns into a 1v2. Phelps finds Mixwell, and then eventually we see Rush go down. So you can see that's how the half happens. Just gonna take a drink of water. All right, so at least for me in that half, again, just if we're gonna spin a story from it, that was essentially Optic. You can see how critical pistol round is. Obviously, if they pick that up in the 2 thereafter, they're already at 3. And then on top of that, if you are losing rounds, very critical that you're at least getting bomb plants. You can get more light buys in, you can have more utility, again, on those eco rounds and such, and then you can keep the pressure on. And that was one thing that they were able to do, is essentially just keep the pressure on to the point that eventually they broke Tempo Storm's economy, and they were able to find the last bunch of rounds. So, 8-7 at half. Again, if you're on old Nuke, you're like, what is this even, like, do these guys even know how to play CT side? On new Nuke, I feel like it is a lot more viable to get that kind of T side going, but it takes a lot of abuse on the outer yard, which, again, Optic did well. I'll show, again, here, as we go into the next half, how Tempo, they try and do it, but Tempo actually gets really fortunate. This is where we get some humor coming into play. This is a very, very bizarre follow-up pistol round, honestly. I'll jump right into it. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna be critical here. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. I'm a massive fan of Tempo Storm, and usually it's because of their strategic like play style that I'm a really big fan. I don't like this, and I don't know if this is because they have a set pistol round and that they do it on the fly. Or sorry, but the spawns are on the fly, or what, and then they just keep the same rolls. But I feel like what we're going to see here is Lucas gets provided the equipment to become a raid boss. So if you guys don't know what that means, that basically means someone drops you a Tech 9 and you buy armor. So someone else is basically giving up a lot of their money just so you can be more impactful, essentially. So Phelps is actually the utility man. So you can see very early he has the front spawn. In my eyes, he should be the raid boss then. But instead, they decide to keep the same strat. And again, I'm critiquing this in that my reasoning behind critiquing this is that the first guy out should be able to take a lot of bullets and hopefully find an entry. If he's just going to be a punching bag even, let Showtime be this punching bag and then let Lucas be in second. The idea is they want Lucas in second, it seems like. Actually, he's not in second at all, so So anyhow, the idea is Phelps dies immediately. So he goes down, he had a smoke and 2 flashes. He dies immediately. So yeah, the best nade can be picked up. They can pick up, let me see here. They should actually be able to pick up the smoke, correct? There's actually only the flash on the ground. Interesting. I swore that it was the smoke that would have dropped and not the flash. But anyhow, nonetheless, you can see that now that utility is kind of for naught. It turns into a 3-on-3, and this is a round that Tempo ends up winning. But it's kind of this Optic botch it. Let's be serious here. You guys are going to see in a moment, they decide to make it into the lower bomb site. And Optic claimed that they did not know that you can plant on top of the silo. I'm gonna let you guys be the jury here. This is what happens. Bolts plants on top of the silo. Great, all fine and dandy. Daps and Naf peek in. There's a big bleepy thing on top of that, but of course they again didn't. Heat of the moment, they didn't see it. Mixwell though gets on it. So this is Henny. Actually, I forgot. I neglected to explain. Henny actually stays up in lobby and waits until they go down to the vents. So Mixwell gets blindsided here, and that's basically the round. You'll see they're trying to fight the guy in Toxic. They win that fight. Henny kills Mixwell, though. So Naf does have a kit here. But the time is ticking away, and Naf, he's looking for the bomb, doesn't really know. So he goes all the way up and around, and Henny, he just has to run. Just has to run. And again, Naf basically has to give up the round. So for one, I'd like to know personally what is the best idea here. I'm just going to use my mouse. Is the best idea to go back to vent to get to silo? Is the best idea to come up ramp here and go back to silo? Or is the best idea to go up to control room and back up to silo? Which one's quicker? I have no idea, but I'd like to know. And I feel like if you're going to have... Like, we'll go to this upper bomb site. You can plant on top of the silo in the upper bomb site too, but there's a goddamn ladder on it. There's no ladder here. So, I don't know. I feel like that needs to be fixed. That is an issue that I wanted to bring up. I am not a big fan of that. Because again, to rotate around, I challenge someone to find out if there's any other map where that's the case, where you can plant somewhere that if you're not... Like, what is the furthest plant away from you on a retake to have to travel to get to a bomb, essentially? Because I feel like that's got to be the longest, right? In terms of where you're going to plant. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's any other plants. I can't think of another one that you kind of plant on an object, you plant on something, and you have to hop up and get it. So, again, challenge someone to look into that. But moving into this next round, Optic, they force buy. And we're going to see here how Optic's force buys are actually excellent. They actually do a ton of damage. I think Naf starts this off... Let's see here. I believe that, yeah, so... He starts us off with quite a bit of damage towards outside. Let me just double check here. Sorry, I am way off of my notes here. I stayed on topic, though, so that's good. That means that my notes are kind of ingrained in my head. Okay. I thought that Naf actually found a kill there, but maybe I'm just a second away from it happening. Okay, let's go. So yeah, Naf, yeah, here it is. So Naf dinked a player outside in bolts, and then runs back to Big Garage and kills a player up in Catwalk. Honestly, you can't ask for a better way to start the round if you're Optic, so that's, again, massive. Optic, they do not end up winning this round, but they do incredible amounts of damage, so... again, that's a good start. One thing to note is they lost their player Phelps that was up on the catwalk. So they don't actually send another player up there, and because of that, they lose all this critical real estate. They can't actually flank up into CT Heaven. They can't really use that to their advantage, which I feel like is one of the biggest advantages that you gain on the T side on this new design of the map. So, anyhow, this round will just allow it to play out a little bit. As eventually it turns into a 2-on-4. And again, it's on top of the silo where the bomb eventually gets planted. So we'll speed things up a little bit here. So Mixwell actually whiffs a little bit in a moment, but it's the Galil, let's be serious. So he recognizes that they could be creeping into the B-bomb site, and indeed that's the case. Goes for the burst here, and eventually finds the headshot. So again, you're like, how could Optic lose this round, quite honestly? They are at such the advantage. Rush finds bolts. Finally, Henny frags against Daps. But again, it's a 2-on-4, and they already have players around this bomb site. You got to think that, how is this going to turn into a losing situation? And it turns into, because we'll see a 1v1. Henny peeks out and actually takes down Rush here. So that's one 1v1. Lucas finds another. And then it's basically Mixwell. He frags Henny, and eventually they do find the frag, but watch this. So Naf actually had a kit. He almost stepped on it. He literally almost stepped on it. I don't know if it makes a difference, but he makes it all the way back up here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Would have been the round. Would have been the round. If he picked up that kit, he had it. But he didn't pick up the kit. And it was literally, like, it was literally one step off. So again, one thing that I kind of noted earlier is in that pistol round where Mixwell was already on the silo, and he was able to, he got on the bomb, but somehow the other players didn't know that it was on top of the silo. I feel like there is a bit of a miscommunication going on between maybe Mixwell and the other guys there. Again, Naf dropped a kit but didn't communicate it, or it just didn't make, I don't know what happened there, but that was the difference maker. So game of small mistakes, of course. Interesting round, right? Another silo mishap. So we move into this next round. I'm just pausing it to gather myself here. This is the 18th. We see another force buy from Optic. So not surprising. They literally kill, I think they killed everybody. Yeah, exactly. They killed everybody. So Mixwell just couldn't get the defuse. So they decide to bring it in to the next round with a force buy. They've got that AK-47 on Mixwell. And this is, let's see here. So Mixwell, this round is actually, again, miscommunication. Mixwell plays in Big Garage. So he's covering all of outside, but he doesn't actually watch Catwalk. So we'll see how this pans out. So, again, Mixwell, his positioning's not bad. It's not that I'm calling out his positioning. It's just if you have this kind of opening, either it was miscommunication and that Mixwell said something and Stan didn't know, or like just thought that there wasn't going to be the case. But actually, you know what? In this round, I think he actually does meet them there. Stan doesn't get blindsided. Later in the half, though, it happens, where he gets literally blindsided. So, again, this is one of the benefits to the new Nuke map. You can have your players literally just waltz across and make it all the way to CT Heaven. So Stan, you can see he's peeking in this direction, but he's caught walking forward. So Bolt's immediate headshot takes him down. Phelps is able to take down Mixwell, who tries to refrag off of that. And it all kind of falls apart for the moment here, as Naf somehow finds at least some damage in this round. He found a player from CT Heaven, and then he killed someone there as well. And then I think Daps almost gets it done, but he goes down to Phelps. So tempo, they finally get around where they secure 3 players left up, but see, their bank is still not that great. That being said, Optic, they're finally in a situation where they're like, all right, let's save here, boys. We tried the force buy route. We got so close, but not close enough. So this is actually a round where Optic win, believe it or not, and I'll show you how. One of the old eco strats on this map was to push players into lobby, and we'll see in a moment here that is going to be the case. Stan is the front runner. This is actually a critical detail because Henny has an MP7. If it's any of the other players, they go down immediately, but Stan, he takes it like a truck because he does have armor, so that does very little. And we will see Phelps is able to make it into Heaven very quickly. Bolt's up there as well. And they're going to make their way through outside, through this area. But what happens is you see Optic push through ramp, and they come back to Hell. And Naf does so much damage. He's honestly excellent with the 5.7. That's one of the things I've noted watching this. And now it's basically a 2-on-2. And they have the bomb down. Daps, you got to credit him here. This is an insane P250 long-range shot. He can play this a number of different ways. He could play it the safe route because he spots the player and he tries to creep up, and he knows with the P250 he's not going to get that long-range shot, but he frags him. He does enough damage to Bolts and falls back. He does eventually have a 1v1, but Nutty Shot Mixwell is actually in a position, though, where even if he loses that, he should be able to cut him off and have a favorable 1v1. But obviously a very critical round to note. Optic, Eco, Tempo, Storm there. And in my eyes, that's kind of the beginning of the end, more or less. This is now an Eco round for the T side, and you can see they can't invest very much at all. And this is actually, again, this is a round where we saw on the opposite half, there wasn't a lot of time there wasn't a lot of times where there was a lot of money built up on the CT side. This is a round that basically is an example of how a full eco can screw you almost on the T side. Because if you get no damage in Optic, you'll see this is basically a simple outside take that just goes oh so wrong. Rush finds one immediately. And again, they kind of get separated in a way that Rush finds, I think, a double or a triple kill eventually. Yeah, finishes off a third, all with one clip. And Optic immediately gain a bank account. So again, something that didn't happen over 7 rounds for Tempo. Immediately we see that being secured for Optic. So stark difference in the economic situation. And I'm just realizing that we're about to hit we're 10 minutes away from the hour mark, and I totally wanted this to be a quick video, but I guess to be fair, I should have recognized we would be going on this long. But here we go, we're going to see what exactly, so I'm actually going to restart this round. This is actually Tempo, in my eyes, a bit of a frustration play. They decided to try and rush A. And we saw that from Optic as well, but I feel like it was more at strategic timings. So moving into this round. So you'll see they actually get an op on Henny, and that's actually one of the reasons why I feel like this is also not a good idea, because you have that op in play, and he could potentially work outside, but we'll see in a moment here that they try and bum rush the A bomb site, but Optic just has a little bit better of a hold than we saw from the Tempo side on their CT. So here we go, flash for outside, same deal for Optic, and we actually see the Molotov from the CT side rush. He's able to find one immediately, and you see how they cut that off. The smoke goes down, Lucas finds no entry, Showtime is now behind the smoke, takes half hit points worth of damage, and he's done. So Phelps kind of takes it upon himself to continue on outside, and this is actually a situation, look at this timing, Mixwell goes inside right as Phelps comes around the corner, and this is where Stanislaw does get blindsided. But this is actually a heart-wrenching round for Tempo Storm. They find a huge advantage, but the damage dealt to them early in the round actually comes back to bite them. So we'll see here again, Phelps slowly creeping through. He eventually will show up in CT Heaven, spots out Stanislaw, and this is an easy frag for him. So he doesn't get taken down by Rush, but you can see how much damage is dealt there. I'm gonna pause right now. So this is a scenario where, like, okay, Tempo, they look great. Outside of their hit points, they look like they are primed to win this round. But what ends up happening is that we'll see Daps makes his way over toward lobby, and he gets 2 1v1s. Nav has the fortune. Showtime, he doesn't know it, but his head is actually showing here. So watch how this goes down. I'm going to play this at about half speed. So Nav peeks in, spots the head of Showtime, dinks him, kills him. Dabs kills one in lobby, and they both find frags in the end. Like, I watched this round live, and I'm like, ooh. I did that. I was like, what? How did they lose the round? I had no idea, but again, going back, you can see how much damage was dealt to them there. So, again, Optic, they're on the momentous swing here. We will see a pause coming in. And let's see, this is another eco round. But the pause comes in first. So I believe this one goes till... This one's not too long. Again, I'll be taking some questions at the end here, so if you guys... We're getting to the very end, so if you guys have some questions, please do let me know. So, round 22, this is another eco round. So this is actually a round where Tempo, they abuse outside, and I like that they do this on an eco round. They go for a smoke strat outside, and they slip into secret. So they do lose a player in the process, but 4 players make it down secret, which in my eyes, that's a successful run. So Nav gets dinked immediately. He has to fall off. Mixwell can't do very much, and Rush, his vision's kind of covered. So Phelps, he ends up dying here. Sad times. But the rest of the players make it down towards Secret. So that's good. They're going to try and make it into the lower bomb site, but what we'll see is Daps and Rush actually just go in both doorways here, and they honestly just shut this down completely. Daps does get dinked, but eventually you see Rush shows up, and they're able to secure a flawless round. So another round. Look at the money that's building up for Optic. This was not something that was available for Tempo Storm on their CT side. And again, lack of bomb plants. We were not seeing that from Tempo Storm. So they're not able to keep up that pressure, and they're not able to keep that CT side economy low. And again, it results in Optic have a much easier time here. So moving into the 23rd round, Naf actually goes for an aggressive play here towards T-Red, and it bites him in the behind. And you'll see how, again, he tries to make it out here. He actually does make it out. Molotov comes in, though, and it flushes him back in a way that it's actually a huge Molotov from the T side to make certain that Naf can't stay there. So, nice play from Showtime to hit that frag, and of course, these are all spammable. Stan has been playing up there the entire time. You can see he mixes up his position, though. He's crouching, he's moving around, not giving a static target just in case they've read where he's playing from. But what ends up happening in this, we'll just get a nice overhead view here, is there's actually a situation where Phelps is going to get a chance to frag Rush. Rush is actually playing a cheeky position that you only really know of on New Nuke. It's behind this AC. I think there was something here previously. I don't know if it was AC or what it was. I think it was more just a box that you could... I can't even remember at this point, so don't quote me on that. Anyhow, Rush is playing behind this AC unit. Phelps eventually, again, I believe he spots him here. So Mixwell finds a frag on a Lucas. I'm kind of neglecting that happened. I believe that was a peek towards Hut. So he gets blindsided, and they eventually decide to take into this bomb site. But the fact that Phelps, he knew Rush was there, he couldn't actually frag him. There is actually a moment where he peeks out, and he could have gotten him. But Rush ends up just ruining this round for Tempo Storm. And again, it's hard. You can't blame Phelps, but when you can pinpoint a situation where it's like this player had a chance to kill this guy. Again, I didn't highlight it very well, to be honest with you. Maybe we'll just jump back around. That was round 23. I'll highlight that a little better because I was actually swimming around when he gets the chance. I want to actually show it rather than you guys taking my word for it here, because you'd be like, yeah, you're just hating on Phelps, bro. Don't be a dick. It's not what I'm going for. I love Phelps. He's a stud. God, I wish that this was just so much smoother. No, it was a 23rd round. So difficult to go back rounds in this game. If anybody from Valve is watching, I don't think they are, but if they are, I'm very upset with how this demo review GUI works. This UI is not fun. So, okay, here we go. Oh, God. Oh, God. Well, just gonna have to wait for a moment here. Technical issues. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Is it like jumping or something like that? That's weird. Okay. Is this the... Oh, I went back too far. God damn it. I'm such a noob. And this is where the timeout comes in. God damn it. Alright, bear with me, guys. If I pause and go to... Where is this come undone? Round. No, maybe this is... Okay, 45... 55. Okay, and again, this is just them running around, and they eventually die to Rush. Okay, so that's not the round we wanted to witness. This is the one anyhow. So keep our eye on Phelps. There's a lot of rewinding just to get to this one moment, but see, Phelps goes for this early pick with that AWP towards Squeaky, and eventually makes his way towards outside. I actually didn't realize they whiffed that shot early, so another kind of chance there. This is interesting where they do have rounds where Henny doesn't get the op and Phelps does. I think that those rounds you can kind of question. I think it might be Henny actually offering it, not Phelps saying, give it to me, kind of thing. But still, I feel like they should have confidence in Henny. Anyhow, moving forward, here we go. So Phelps, he's eventually going to peek around. So he spotted Rush there. It didn't seem like it, but he changes his angle and he's jiggle peeking it. So, and he spots him out again, misses the shot. And this is where Rush, he spotted him for a moment there, actually dropped down. And again, this is where Rush, he books it back up the ladder, and he's able to take down one and a second. So, again, Rush, just super impactful. Daps just hangs out, and Rush kills everybody. So, big moment there. And we're getting to the very end of things here. So, 24th round, we do have a Force Buy coming in from the T side. You can see if they got a bomb plan in the last, this would actually be a buy that wouldn't be too bad at all. But because they didn't get that bomb plant, of course, no such luxury. So not gonna get that extra $800. So it looks like, oh yeah, so they rush A again. Another scenario where Lucas tries to go out first here. So he dies immediately, and then they stop. And then they decide to go out again with that flashbang. And it just does not work at all. So the A rushes have just been decimated by Optic. Lucas just can't get anything done on those entries. And it feels like there is a bit of a gap between the players as they push out there. Specifically in that round, you saw 2 players actually put the brakes on it and stay inside of Hut after he had long since died. So moving into the next round here, this is a light buy. And let's see, what actually goes down to this round? Phelps finds a kill towards ramp. But, okay, this is a sick round from... Phelps actually finds quite a bit of success. This is the power of Phelps right here. He's honestly a legend with this Tech 9. I should probably use legend carefully, but I don't. I swing it around like crazy. Phelps is definitely up there with this weapon, though. So Mixwell finds a first shot nicely, but Phelps is able to flash his way through, Stewie 2K style, but Mixwell finds 2 outside. So, yeah, Phelps finds that success, and eventually he actually baits like he's going down to the B-bomb site. I actually like how he does this. Pops the vent. Naf is inside of the control room, but the smoke hinders his vision. He doesn't really know. He actually walks up to the edge of it, but there's a timing where maybe Phelps could have gone by. But in the midst of all this, Mixwell has made his way back towards ramp. Or hell, rather. And this is a sick flick from him. He's clearing all the corners, looks back. Hello! Phelps, you're dead, buddy. So it's Henny and Showtime to bring the round back. And I think at this point, this round just kind of fell apart. I don't recollect anything else exciting going on here. Yeah, Henny actually walks out. Okay, I didn't note that he walks out. This is kind of funny. He creeps in and the Glock... He's able to Glock rush, so that's exciting. But outside of that, nothing too fun going on. Showtime tries to get another bomb plant on top of the silo here, but Naf is like, that's a whole lot of nope, buddy. As you guys have tried that multiple times. You see him actually, like, he runs over and he's like, nah, I see that top of silo plant. See what you did there. We ain't falling for that again. So, round 26, we will see a double op from Tempo. And I feel like this has got to be a desperation buy. I feel like Phelps, he's the kind of guy that, bit of a star in that he knows what he needs, and that's why he's been going for these op plays. Now Henny gets a chance with him as well. Just going to pause for a moment here. So, again, double op, you could say one goes ramp, one goes outside. It's kind of the idea. Let me just see here. What actually happens? So they actually nade down Squeaky. So, yeah, and this is very common to see on Nuke. Nade goes into the door. Phelps, he just peers right through into Big Garage. Again, try that on matchmaking at home. Might as well. And just barely misses Rush there as you see him kind of creep into the corner. So, unfortunate timing for Phelps. Again, Henny's trying to work outside. Lucas trying to get aggressive here. Actually, Mixwell was getting aggressive on the opposite end. Gathers some intel and falls back, but it's Nafly finds the first frag, and that was from Secret. So again, not smoked off, but Henny's able to trade off of it, so not bad. This is actually a round where Tempo win, but I feel like it's more because Optic, they continuously try and take duels outside here. Mixwell misses, then Phelps takes him down. That being said, you could debate that it's worth it to retake outside because there's so many advantages for the T's there. Phelps, he misses another shot, but again, this is a round where I don't think Tempo actually loses any more players at this point. Eventually, it just goes their way, so we'll just keep it on the overhead view here. And again, credit to the frags that they hit. Henny, I think, hit a nutty one onto Stan there. And it's Daps and Rush left onto the field, but Daps' position's known. Showtime eventually makes it into the bomb site. and took down Rush, so that is the round. So this is the last bit of success for the Tempo Storm side. They survive with 4, that's great. Got a bit of economy, but of course the CTs have much more of an economy. So if this was the last half, we would see all these rounds in a row, but then a broken CT side after 1, basically. But not the case here. Optic have quite the bank account, and they can continue working forward. So this next round is a slow work from the Tempo Storm side. Henny gets put outside with bolts, and then they have 3 players covering towards lobby. That's generally the golden standard for covering lobby. If you have anything left, or anything less, rather, and the CTs push, you can find yourself caught off guard. It's very difficult to hold. But again, slow work here. Bolts and Henny just on the outside of the bomb site. And I think Mixwell, yeah, Mixwell is a sick angle here. You can see he's way back inside of CT spawn. He actually gets tagged there from Henny. I didn't actually note that he gets tagged there. I noted that he played the spot, but he does get tagged. Henny pushes him off. But that's also a sick angle to bring into your matchmaking play. Just hop up on top of there. You can spot some players coming through. But this is where... So I think Mixwell... Let me just double check. I'm just trying to figure out what exactly else happens. Right, so Rush actually gets 2 as he helps out Daps here in a moment towards ramp. You can see Daps... he takes a lot of pressure and falls back with that incendiary, but it's actually going to be Rush that helps him out. He takes down 2. So, massive play there. I think Mixwell actually tries to chime in a second. He misses that shot, but falls. But the critical part to note is that Daps survived and made it into the lower bomb site. So, Tempo, they have to worry about Daps is either here, or maybe in control room. So, noting that, they send Bolts in first, but he goes down to Daps, and in the midst of it, you see Naf peeks out and helps out Daps, and that's honestly the round right there. Henny is now left alone, and I think he does find some nice shots. Yeah, Mixwell goes down through the door, but that will be the round. So, again, Optic, that's the benefit of having one player playing ramp here, and this is almost like the Dust 2 op and drop. I'd like to see... like on Catwalk, where you're opping on a cat and you just fall into CT spawn. This is very similar. You take a peek, you might even take a shot. He dropped an incendiary, fell back, Rush peeks out from there, and they can basically just bulldoze any of the players from the Tempo side. So Tempo on this final round, they got a broken buy. I think Daps kills Lucas literally right from the get-go towards... yeah, look at that. Like... add insult to injury, just right through the smoke. I actually didn't realize that was through a smoke, so a little bit of tracers there for Daps to find, but still nutty stuff, and I think at the very end here we'll see Mixwell, he finds Showtime, and then Bolts tries to run through a smoke, and he goes down to Mixwell as well, and then it's basically Henny and Phelps to try and get something done here. Phelps, he tries to, this is actually a nutty shot from Mixwell. Ooh, beauty. As he tries to re-peek. Henny eventually finds a couple, and then he creeps around towards CT spawn, but... or, sorry, back over towards CT heaven, and then tries to find some success inside of the lobby, but he doesn't have the bomb, and he dies. So that's going to be that. That is that. That is the first episode of my demo reviews. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's actually jump over to my Twitch chat. I have no idea. Okay, so I've got some people inside of my chat. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask away. Let's see here. Okay, that makes sense. So, thank you, OJ, for letting me know. It's not the best grenade, it's the last nade equipped. So in that round, the pistol round, where they had dropped, Phelps goes in first with a smoke and 2 flashes. That's why his flash was the thing that was dropped. I'm a bit of a noob. Why are you such a noob? 'Cause I was born this way. Let's be serious. No, I got no witty answer for that, OJ. You jerk. Alright. Alright, well, I have no questions relevant to the match itself. So I'm honestly going to stop the stream right there. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you watched the whole thing, I'm going to post this on YouTube and see. If you guys have any feedback, please let me know. I'm going to be trying to do at least one of these a week and potentially on Fridays, but I want to do more than that. So I'll keep you posted. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at Sprawl, just 2 L's there. Subscribe on YouTube. It's an easy way to obviously get updates for when I post a new video. But on top of that, you can drop me a follow on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Sprawl. Just make sure there's 2 L's on the end. So again, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next time.